In a quiet town in northeast Texas, a horrific tragedy shocked the community to its core. A young mother, full of joy and promise, was senselessly taken far too soon. Her unborn baby, so close to entering the world, never got to take her first breath. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us again at Crimeco. Here, we meticulously dissect some of the most chilling true crime cases from every corner of the globe, providing you with the most recent and in-depth information. If this sparks your interest, we would be delighted if you could subscribe to the channel. Also, giving this video a like significantly supports our channel's growth. We appreciate your help. Now, let's plunge into today's intriguing case. Our story begins in the small town of New Boston, located in Bowie County, Texas. Situated near the Arkansas border, about 160 miles northeast of Dallas, New Boston is home to just over 4,500 residents. Many families have deep roots in this caring rural community, living there for generations. It was first settled in 1837 and incorporated in 1848. Though it started as a farming hub, the discovery of rich iron ore in the late 1800s led to an industrial boom. The economy shifted again towards retail and service jobs in the 20th century. New Boston has all the charms of small-town living, a quaint main street dotted with local shops, a homey diner where regulars swap stories over coffee, fields of crops that stretch to the horizon. It's the kind of place where everyone knows each other and life moves at an unhurried pace. Reagan Hancock embodied the warmth and compassion of this community. At just 21 years old, Reagan already touched many lives through her selfless spirit and bright smile. She worked as a nurse at a local hospital, caring for others. Reagan married her high school sweetheart, Homer Hancock, and together they had a 3-year-old daughter named Maisie. When Reagan became pregnant again in 2020, she and Homer were overjoyed. Their family and friends were thrilled for them too. Reagan couldn't wait to welcome her new baby girl, already named Braxlyn Sage. She was the sunshine of their community, and her pregnancy glowed with hope and promise. But there was one person who looked upon Reagan's joy with envy, a woman named Taylor Parker. Taylor had lived in New Boston nearly all her life. Her parents were well known in the community. Taylor Parker was born on August 27, 1991 in Texarkana, Texas. Her parents raised Taylor and her brother in New Boston. As a child, Taylor was an attention seeker who told elaborate stories. She had a flair for manipulation and deceit, even from a young age. Taylor craved being the center of attention. In high school, Taylor participated in plays and musicals, allowing her to play roles on stage. She graduated from New Boston High School in 2010. After briefly attending Texarkana College, Taylor married a man named Tommy Wakasi. Their marriage only lasted few years before ending in divorce. In the coming years, Taylor floated between jobs and relationships. She dreamed of a more exciting life beyond her small-town roots. Taylor's penchant for lying and manipulation only strengthened as she desperately sought control over her circumstances. Little did she know, a twisted scheme was taking shape in her mind, one that would shake the town of New Boston to its very core, leaving shattered lives in its wake. In early 2020, a 29-year-old Parker was working as a phlebotomist drawing blood, but was dissatisfied with her job. Around this time, she met a man named Wade Griffin on a dating app, and they quickly became romantically involved. Griffin lived an hour away in Hooks, Texas, with his young daughter from a previous marriage. He and Parker seemed to hit it off right away, spending almost every weekend together. Just 2 months into their new relationship, Parker dropped a bombshell announcement. She was pregnant with Griffin's baby. Griffin was shocked but excited by the news and was fully committed to building a family life with Parker. He had no idea the astronomical lies and betrayal that were to come. The web of deception Parker would weave around her fake pregnancy was shockingly detailed and elaborate. She went to terrifying lengths to make the ruse believable, hiding her scheme from Griffin and the community. Her actions became increasingly unhinged over the coming months, leading up to the fateful day. In March 2020, Taylor Parker announced her pregnancy to boyfriend Wade Griffin and on social media. She even went to the extreme of wearing padded clothes, stuffing pillows under her shirt to appear several months pregnant. Griffin was overjoyed, telling friends he couldn't wait to be a father again. Parker's own parents were thrilled at the prospect of their first grandchild. In May, Parker threw a gender reveal party attended by Griffin and her friends and family. She announced she was having a baby girl and posted photos holding pink gifts and decorations. 2 weeks later, Parker secretly underwent a hysterectomy due to a gynecological condition, but she hid this from everyone, continuing to pretend she was expecting a child. As months passed, Parker's fake bump grew bigger. She posted photos of her bare belly, supposedly documenting the pregnancy progress. Griffin was sometimes allowed to touch her padded stomach. In August 2020, Parker announced on social media she was 32 weeks pregnant with a baby girl. She posted detailed updates with a fake due date of September 16. Parker falsely told her boyfriend the baby would be named Cara Marie after his late mother. She also said she would give the child her own middle name, Reen. Parker threw a baby shower in New Boston in September, receiving clothes, toys, and gifts for the imaginary baby from excited friends and family. Just before the fake due date, Parker arranged a maternity photo shoot featuring her bare stomach, padded to look over 8 months pregnant. The picture she shared online showed no sign of deception. As the fake due date approached, Parker prepared Griffin for the delivery and childcare. Her bizarre scheme was on the verge of being exposed as the due date came and went, ramping up Parker's desperation. By October 2020, Taylor Parker knew her fake pregnancy scheme was nearing its inevitable collapse. As the fake due date she announced passed without Parker going into labor, Wade Griffin grew confused and concerned. Parker claimed the doctors had miscalculated her due date and the baby was coming later than expected, but her lies were growing harder to sustain. It was at this desperate point that Parker began hatching a plan to steal a real newborn baby to pass off as her own. She decided her longtime friend Reagan Simmons Hancock, who was 8 months pregnant, would be her target. On the morning of October 9th, Parker lured Reagan with a series of text messages to come to her house in New Boston. When Reagan arrived, Parker attacked her in a premeditated ambush. The brutal injuries Reagan suffered showed she struggled valiantly against her. Parker beat Reagan with a hammer and her abdomen with a scalpel over 100 times. With Reagan still alive and fighting back, Parker opened her womb and with the still-breathing infant. This act ultimately killed the mortally wounded Reagan. Leaving Reagan's 3-year-old daughter alone with her dying mother, Parker fled with the newborn baby. Parker sped away and was soon pulled over by police for erratic driving. Claiming she had just unexpectedly gone into labor, Parker held the blood-covered baby in her lap. Both were taken to an Oklahoma hospital, where Parker was arrested on charges hours later. The premature baby girl, Braxlyn Sage, tragically died at just 5 days old. Parker's monstrous acts had claimed 2 innocent lives and left a community grieving and searching for answers. The brutal murders of 21-year-old Reagan Simmons Hancock and her unborn daughter Braxlyn Sage shocked the small town of New Boston to its core. Reagan's husband Homer, along with their young daughter, were left grieving an unimaginable loss. Jessica Brooks and the rest of Reagan's loving family were devastated that she was so viciously taken from them. The community came together to mourn the deaths and support Reagan's family. People who knew Taylor Parker were baffled at what could have driven her to such an abominable crime against a close friend. Parker was arrested on capital charges. As the legal proceedings unfolded, the depths of her elaborate web of deception regarding her fake pregnancy came to light. Investigators uncovered her extensive planning and preparation in faking medical documents, ultrasounds, and wearing pregnancy suits and pads for nearly a year. Faced with the horrific evidence against her, Parker pled not guilty in court. Her defense team attempted to claim she was unable to distinguish right from wrong at the time of the case. But prosecutors argued premeditation, pointing to her detailed research into performing impromptu caesarean sections. The jury also heard heartbreaking testimony from Reagan's family and friends about her vibrancy and the devastating loss of her life. In October 2022, after just an hour of deliberation, the jury found Parker guilty of capital murder. She showed no emotion as the verdict was read. 1 month later, Parker's sentencing trial concluded with jurors deciding on the death penalty as punishment for her gruesome crimes. The judge formally sentenced Parker to death row, where she remains in custody pending appeal. The shocking crimes committed by Taylor Parker rocked the small town of New Boston, Texas, to its very core. The brutal murder of Reagan Simmons Hancock and her unborn daughter Braxlyn was senseless and chilling. Driven by desperation to hide her fake pregnancy, Parker betrayed and viciously killed a trusting friend. While Taylor awaits her date with destiny on death row, questions linger about what drove her to commit such monstrous acts. Psychology experts believe her ego was highly fragile and twisted, unable to handle perceived failure or rejection. She craved validation and acceptance above all else, thus the charade cementing her role as partner and mother was all-consuming. Yet it was her extreme narcissism that ultimately proved her downfall. Unable to distinguish fiction from reality, Taylor became drunk on her own lies, reflexively doubling down even as inconsistencies mounted. In the end, rather than come clean and face the consequences, she chose to end 2 innocent lives in a depraved bid to sustain the fantasy. For Reagan's loved ones, finding purpose in their anguish has become an act of defiance against Taylor's efforts to destroy their lives. Jessica remains outspoken, educating others on the signs of deception and importance of accountability. Emily hopes sharing Reagan's perpetual optimism and zest for life will honor her memory. And little AVL is a daily reminder of her mother's sacrifice, protected and cherished like the miracle she is. While nothing can replace what was taken that October day, New Boston has rallied in support. Donations helped Jessica care for AVL, and a foundation in Reagan and Braxland's name assists victims of domestic violence. Their lives, though brief, have left an impact, a light that refuses to be extinguished by even the darkest of evils. Perhaps in that small mercy, some solace can be found. This concludes the tragic tale of Reagan, Braxland, and the deception that stole their future. I hope in sharing their story, more will be inspired by their courage and compassion, even in the face of pure malice. Until next time, stay safe out there. Before you leave, please remember to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell. This will ensure you stay informed about the latest true crime cases we unravel. We're grateful to have you as part of our community as we dive deep into the captivating mysteries that continue to intrigue us all. Stay curious, and remember that justice sometimes lurks in the darkest corners. Thank you for spending your time with us, and we eagerly anticipate seeing you in our next exploration.